The dreaded shank shot, it's one of the biggest frustrations that many players face. You hit the inside of the hosel and the ball shoots off on a right angle. If this is something you face on a regular basis, well, stay tuned. This video is really gonna help. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Kerry Gray here on the range today at Joondalup Resort, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get rid of that dreaded shank. It's one of the biggest frustrations for a lot of players. Sure, you can hit those fat shots, you can hit those top shots, but when the ball shoots off on right angles far away from your intended target, it is certainly one of the biggest frustrations that a lot of players face. But before we get stuck in and show you exactly how to get rid of that shank, go down below, click subscribe, click that little bell if you haven't already. And on top of that, if you're looking for a little bit more personalized help with your golf swing, I'm certainly available to help you with online analysis. We can look at your full swing, your short game, your putting. Also, I do have a comprehensive video library over on my website on kggolf.com if you click the link down below. But on to today's session, we're talking about eliminating that shank shot. And let's talk exactly, first of all, of what that is. A shank shot is when you set up to the golf ball and the golf club comes back into impact, the hosel of the golf club right on the inside here moves towards the golf ball so much that it strikes the rounded part right on the inside of the heel there, and the ball is going to shoot off on a direct angle far away from your intended target down there. Now, without a doubt, it is one of the most detrimental that you can face, and it happens from players all the way from beginners all the way to professionals, and I'm going to show you exactly some of the main reasons that actually happens, and then also a few little drills and exercises that you can utilize to eradicate that shank. So first of all, what's one of the big issues that we see with players who shank the golf ball? Why do they do so? Well, one of them is simply from their setup position. They are not in balance. So we're going to be talking about that. So for example, a shank shot, if I was to set up in, let's say, what's called a neutral setup position, a shank is when the mass of the golf club would be moving out towards the ball. And how we set up can influence that movement greatly. So first of all, one of the big keys that we see with a lot of players is in space, they might simply just be standing too close to the golf ball. But alternatively, the same effect can happen if we stand too far. So for example, if I'm standing too close, I don't have enough room, the handle's going to raise up, we can hit the hosel of the golf club. But also if I stand too far away, and I see a lot of players trying to do this if they do shank it, well, it makes sense intuitively, but what ends up happening is they have to actually throw the golf club at the golf ball to get it back, and then you can shank it anyway. So starting off in a balanced address position is incredibly beneficial to eliminate that shank shot. And I'm going to show you a great drill of how to get into the perfect setup to ensure at least that is not encouraging the shank. And it goes like this. What we're going to do is we're going to stand up dead straight, and we're going to hold this golf club level with the ground, perpendicular to our body, about a hand and thumb distance away. From here, it's as simple as this. If we were simplifying the golf swing, we could play golf out in front of us like that, but seeing as the ball is down on the ground, we need to bend from the hips. All we're going to do from here is tilt from the hips with those knees locked out until the club touches the ground, and then slightly flex the knees. Now, you are going to know that you're in a good setup position if you close your eyes from this position and you feel an equal weight distribution between your toes and your heels. A couple other keys to look for here is if I let my right hand just dangle off the golf club, I should be able to bring it straight back onto the grip without making any manipulations. What that means is, let's say I get into this postural position from here, but for whatever reason I start reaching for it. If I let my hand hang underneath my shoulders, you can see that misses the grip by a fair amount. Alternatively, the same deal would be from here. If I set down into my posture, but the grip comes from underneath, well then I'm simply too close in space. So I love this posture drill. Not only does it get you balance between your toes and your heels, but it gives you the right amount of bend from the hip. So I just like to see it perpendicular with the ground, about a hand and thumb distance away from your belt buckle. Tilt from the hips, then slightly flex the knees. Find wherever that golf club sits. When you let your right hand for the right hander just dangle off, bring it back on the club. Close your eyes, equally balanced between your toes and your heels. Right there, that is the spot to be. Also, be aware of where you are lining that golf ball up with the club face. If we tend to line it up on the inside of the club, which some players do believe that they should do, well, you're just more likely to leave some marks on the inside of that hosel, giving you those shanks. So when we set up, let's get that club right in the center of the golf ball, right in the center of the club face, nice and balanced. right here, at least, that can rectify a lot of shanking issues for some of you at home. Now, the second biggest cause for a shank is simply an open club face. And I'm just going to detail that for you. So an open club face, if we're getting into this checkpoint here, would be when the toe of the golf club is pointing anywhere from straight up to in this direction here. Right there, if I was to swing through, the ball is going to shoot on right angles. A club face, by this section of the downswing, when the shaft is parallel, should be slightly tipped down towards the ground or matching my spine angle that you can see here. From there, as I simply just turn and rotate through the golf ball, my face would square up with my target, and that would help me hit a straight shot. If my club face is open, what your brain is going to do, it's going to stop turning, you're going to suck your butt in towards the golf ball, and you're going to start casting that golf club at the golf ball in an attempt to square it up. And simply, the more that my butt sucks in towards the golf ball, the higher the handle is going to get, the more likely I am going to shank it. So we're not going to detail too much about how to strengthen that club face. That's for another video. But in this one here, once you're in your setup position, if you film your swing and you see that the club face is very open and then you're standing up, well, there's a good chance that's also going to lead to a shank shot. And the final, and probably the most important out of all of these, is more so an awareness and a skill building exercise of where the golf ball is actually striking the club face. Very often in coaching, I'll ask players, where do you think that hit the face? And they'll have absolutely no idea. They don't know the difference between it hitting on the toe or the heel, and it makes it very difficult to manage and even get an understanding of where the ball is coming off and relative to the direction. So sometimes the ball might shoot in right angles, and I'll ask a player, where did that strike the face? And they might say, well, right on the outside. And intuitively, that might make sense. It hits the end here and it goes over in that direction. But seeing as this part is angled, the ball generally strikes here and then goes off in that right angle direction there. So with high speed video, you can see when you slow it down of exactly where the ball hits the face. Alternatively, what you can do is you can simply get a whiteboard marker, draw a dot on the golf ball, and it will leave a mark on the face. Or you can get some foot powder spray, which you'll see all over the internet. You can spray the face there and it will show you where you make contact. But let's say that you are someone who doesn't quite have an awareness of where that ball is striking the face. What's a drill that we can use if we don't have a whiteboard marker or something similar? Well, what I want you to do is you're going to set up to a golf ball. And then from this position, you're going to place another golf ball just on the outside of that. And it's got to feel very uncomfortable, like uncomfortable as in being close. So for example, if I was to come in and I was to be a shanker of the golf ball, the handle would move out, it would hit the hosel. You can see the toe of the golf club would come in and strike the other ball as well. So you can see I've got a bit of a 2-for-1 deal with that. That means that as I was coming in, for whatever reason, the golf club went so much towards the golf ball that it hit the hosel of the golf club and resulted in that shank. And that gave me some great feedback to know that if I was striking the golf ball in the center of the club, which is obviously what we want to do, we need to ensure that I would be able to hit some shots without striking that outside golf ball. So the first couple of times you do it might seem scary, but I would always advise of going through that posture routine to make sure you're balanced, make sure you're set, and then start off with small shots, just hitting the ball without hitting the outside one. And what you might do from there is you might start to build an awareness of what it's like to strike the ball at different parts of the club face. As a general rule of thumb, when you strike it off the toe, the golf club will feel heavy and more likely feel like it twists in your hands. If you hit it off the heel, it'll make a clicking noise and feel quite light. The toe, it makes that clacking noise. So just having the golf ball on the outside there just brings an awareness of where that golf club is and striking the golf ball. So once you've done that a couple of times, you've got your postural position, then you can just have a feeling of getting that golf club back to the ball without hitting that outside ball. You can see that came through quite nicely and struck it out of the center of the face. So just doing that starts to build an awareness of the sweet spot. So if you are shanking, what I would firstly do is number one, check your setup. Let's make sure that we're not too on our toes, not too on our heels, and not standing too much up at address or too far away. From there, I want you to see if your club face is open as it comes into delivery. If it is open, well then you need to go get yourself a lesson to understand exactly why that is happening, and it can happen for a multitude of effects. And finally, just simply building some skill and some awareness of where that golf ball strikes the face is one of the most important skills that you can develop in golf. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and I really hope that helps you eliminate those shank shots. If you've got any questions at all, please ask me below. But until next time, I'm Kerry Gray. Thanks for watching.